God damn it, Kevin. Hello, everybody in Facebook Live Land. We are the Podguyz Podcast, bringing it to you as we do, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. I'm Tony Kaz.
Kevin Neary here.
Of course, we have the ever-loving Picasso, the doers of do's, the don'ters of don'ts, the doer of donuts?
Yeah, there's a hole there. Wherever there's a hole, there's Sparky's. Fill in the blank for yourself.
You're very melodic and singy today. I like it.
I know. I'm feeling very. Janeza was singing earlier today, and her voice is so much better than mine. That's for sure.
100%. Yeah.
I do more.
But we do have Lay Sparky over in the corner.
Yeah, Sparky, what do you got there on the big board there, Sparky? Oh my God, today, according to Madonna, happy Labor Day to all celebrating Labor Day. We can only say from the Podguyz Podcast, happy Labor Day. Santa Claus is for Christmas, Hanukkah Harry is for Hanukkah, Easter Bunny is for Easter. I guess Labor Day Larry, right? Is there a Labor Day Larry out there with a construction hat out, handing out pink slips, giving out unemployment checks? Is that what he does? Is that what Labor Day Larry does? Tony, what is Labor Day all about?
Labor Day is the celebration of labor.
Wow.
Not the labor and delivery that you would think it would be, but of course, labor as in working, the working.
You know what it feels like, though, on Labor Day? It feels like the only people that get off for Labor Day have the cushy jobs.
Oh, yeah, definitely bankers' holidays.
Kind of messed up way.
It's an annual celebration of the achievements of workers. And of course, celebrated on that particular day.
So I guess we're all just
origins in the labor union movement, Kevin.
They had to unionize, and then once the rich figured out how to manipulate unions by getting in there, hiring one of their rich friends to pretend to care about the poor people they were representing, and giving them basic human rights like dental, vision, and a slight hourly rate. You could tell if somebody's working in a union if their per hourly rate ends in like a 2 or a 7. See how fucking weird that is? Like, I get paid $22.74 an hour. Like, why wouldn't they give you $22.75? I don't know. We agreed on $22.74. It's like, okay, great. You know, my union rep, he's a good guy. We know him. We voted for him. It feels
now not to be mistaken by Labor Day. Labour. Labor Day. Yeah, May 1st is the date designated to honor workers in many other countries as well, not just the United States.
Wow.
Such as Mexico for Labor Day, Labour, or Dia del Trabajo. Trabajo. Dia del Trabajo is celebrated on the 1st of May.
Yeah, no más trabajo, no más dinero, no más dinero, no más casa, mi pobrecito. See? No.
See.
Yes. And no work equals no money equals no house equals me being a homeless man.
Facts.
Yes. Sort of Spanish.
Anyways, we do have a four square here today. Now we have the very funny, very talented Wade Simmons. Thank you very much for coming on the show, sir.
It's all good. How you doing?
Doing well. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're from the main streets of Chicago, but tell me, what is your claim to fame, sir?
All right. Well, so I'm Wade Simmons. I'm a funeral service practitioner.
That is all he does.
What? Oh my God! Why are you here? No.
I'm an independent filmmaker, and I did a little pro wrestling training too. So a little bit of everything.
Now, and not to say, do you have a short status? Because I know you're a little bit on the smaller side.
Yeah, I'm only 5'5".
But look, and there's no offense to this. You know, like I said, small king. You know, do you find it hard, and not necessarily, especially in the wrestling industry, to be a smaller guy working against people who are 6 foot or 6 foot taller?
You know what? Not really, because for me, most of the people they're training, they were doing it like as a career. Me, I did it as a hobby. You know,
Okay.
I wasn't trying to, I wasn't trying to go out there and break my back and break my neck and stuff. Yeah, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're doing it as a cool, like, not to say like a cool gotcha, but like, it's a cool sensation to be
Well,
like, oh man, I had to take bumps for a little bit. I'm training to
guessing
get my body in shape. And
well, actually, what happened was I did wrestle in high school, but I went to make a documentary. And when I was talking to Steve Boz, he wrestled in like WWE when it was called WWF for a little while. He knew that I wrestled in high school, so he was like, instead of me working on the documentary, he like, when are you gonna start training? So I'm like, I guess I'll start next week. So it just kind of happened out of nowhere,
I'm guessing you were a fan of wrestling then. Who was the wrestler that when you saw, I'm guessing it was like just a guess, was it when you were a kid and you saw wrestling? I'm like lagging here right now. I'm watching myself lag a little bit. Who was your favorite wrestler though?
I would say from the Attitude Era it would be Kane, Road Dogg, those two. From more modern, I guess more like when I was a teen, I started to like Carlito, the Was Hair, Little Wild, and stuff like that. But yeah, those were mainly like the main ones that I liked.
Yeah, Road Dogg. He had a very now Road Dogg was originally the sidekick to Double J Jeff Jarrett coming out there. That's why he had his he was like a roadie type of character. And that was probably the only good thing that came out
of
the
hype man. The hype man.
The only, and I will fucking stress that until the end of time, that's the only good thing that came out of Jeff Jarrett. I think that Jeff Jarrett, his character was kind of cool, but he was Intercontinental Championship peak cool.
Far too long.
He could never carry the actual belt, in my opinion. You have a lot of responsibility when it comes to that, and it really shows. Like, they say it's lonely at the top, but Bret the Hitman Hart, right? He paid his dues. He got all the way up to the championship level. And then it's like, where do you go? Who do we put up against this guy? And you start to see the ego come out and starts to crumble downwards. You have less charisma because his whole thing was fighting hard, up and comer, underdog, technical wrestler sort of thing. And here comes charismatic Shawn Michaels to just take it off of him. Bret had been suffering from some injuries throughout the years and said to himself, you know what? I'd rather just make some money in WCW. Wade, were you a WCW fan at any point or no?
Somewhat, but not as much as I was with WWF at the time. But I mean, I did like Goldberg, Sting, and then I know that a lot of wrestlers from WWF at the time, some of them did come from WCW. So I thought that was pretty cool because I think a lot of people don't know that, but I believe a lot of those industries a lot of time they're really connected, really a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, crazy connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the writers who wrote for both the WWE and WCW kind of went back and forth a little bit from time to time, and then once they finally set up the stipulations in the contract in order to stick with one particular client, then they were like, oh well, we're gonna have to fight after who's the best writers for the particular wrestling organization.
What I like to keep track of is character creation and the popularity that follows with that idea. So Stone Cold Steve Austin, he had to basically he's a self-made character to a degree. When Ted DiBiase was his manager type in the WWF, specifically, this was before he was stunning Stone Cold or stunning Austin or whatever. CW.
The ringmaster he was.
The ringmaster was
the ringmaster. That was another one. But this is his on his way up to where peak level was. They put him in with their Ted DiBiase. This was Ted DiBiase's last managerial stint in the WWF, and that Austin 316 monologue where Stone Cold said, I just whooped your ass when he beat Jake the Snake Roberts. That gives you chills to the bone today when you're like, wow, this guy just nailed the promo. He killed it, and he just got a whole new fan base to the point where he turned Bret Hart into a heel in one era.
Yeah.
So he took down Bret Hart's ego, Shawn Michaels. He just rose to the top so much to the point where Owen Hart, some speculate that Owen Hart tried breaking his neck intentionally by botching a pile driver, and then on Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that Vince McMahon, suspiciously enough, conspiracy goes that Vince McMahon was so upset at Owen Hart for doing this that he had him murdered. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but it's just the land of conspiracy. The relationship between Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin is as tight as the relationship between Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan. Vince McMahon knows when he has a top candidate, when he has his top dog up there, and he's allowed to also share in the spotlight too. So that just shows how much ego is involved into the wrestling area as well.
Yeah, I mean, in this, like training for it, like it was actually pretty interesting because, like, I met a lot of cool people, and then like to kind of see people like this up and coming, and then even some of the people that I used to watch in WWE, like to come to the shows and stuff. It was actually pretty cool.
Now, did you? How did you do on your documentary? Did you happen to finish it, or did you?
I'm
actually still working on it now.
Okay.
Another short director, producer of moviegoer, 5'6", and I think he's lying about his height. Spike Lee.
Yeah.
Little Spike Lee, always talking smack at the NBA games, and you're like, he was the original Stephen A. Smith. Where you're like, who is this guy? Why is this little guy fucking yapping around? Stephen A. Smith likes to talk in a tone I call Sermon on the Mound. Have you ever heard Sermon on the Mound talking, Wade?
Mm-hmm.
Where he's just like, pitiful, 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 Tom Brady, pitiful. And,
he has to enunciate on one particular word so loudly.
It's directed at a
pitiful,
a specific demographic, not towards me. I'm always like watching. And by the way, most people that are black are always watching like a Colin Cowherd. Like, why is this guy talking like a fucking robot? What's wrong with this guy? And I'm always just like, why is Stephen A. Smith repeating himself 7 times? I've heard him say it, pitiful, say it, pitiful. I'm like, am I a fucking Baptist church here? What's going on? We're gonna start clapping soon and shit. But it's marketability. Stephen A. Smith has been able to keep his job at ESPN, which is more than you can say about the list of people that have been fired, like Steve Young, for example. Like, I mean, how do you get rid of Steve Young? I have no idea. But yeah, there's a list of people that ESPN ended up just going through and firing. Fox Sports has done sports better than ESPN, which is just on a new level of sad. And Disney says that they do movies better than Fox. So one kind of took over a majority of movies, one took over a majority of sports, because the competition level keeps coming where, you have like a Fubo TV network outbidding and trying to overbid until they take themselves out of business, sort of thing. But it's real tricky. It's real tricky when it comes to all that kind of stuff. But you've noticed these kind of scenario entertainment, haven't you?
Yeah, it's all kind of like a monopoly, just like kind of like one person trying to pretty much buy up everything,
It happens. Now, wait, you said that you deal with that mortuary situation?
Yeah, so I've been working in the funeral business for 13 years. Actually, next month will be 14 years. I went to school to be a mortician back in 2018.
Yeah.
Well, 2016, but I graduated in 2018.
Oh, you know what they say about that particular field, right?
Well, what they say?
People are dying to get in there.
Yeah, Tony. I felt that was well done.
Yeah, and I feel like doing that kind of work makes you like really adventurous. So I
would say so, because
It's not something normally that would come up in conversation. They're like, oh shit, Kevin, what are you up to today? Oh man, you know what? Pumping some gas. I went down the block to the bank teller. Burying bodies.
Wait, do you do the burying of bodies, or do you do the inoculation of them? What is that? What is the detail?
Right now I do have to do some embalming.
Embalming, yeah.
Yeah, do removals, kind of
do you do the makeup? Do you do the makeup on the faces as well?
I can. It's not something I prefer to do.
I know. Well, I mean, it's
Let's cut right to the chase, Wade. What is your favorite thing to do?
With the body. With the bodies, you move the arms around and shit. You make them do the YMCA.
You weekend at Bernie's them or what?
Yeah, put the sunglasses on and be like, they were fine the whole time.
The way that I like to look at it is that, okay, it's not the best time for somebody. So the least you can do is do the best you can with their loved one. I think that's a really kind of like really interesting job because it's not like when you go somewhere, like you can mess up, like if you mess up something, it's like really bad. So that type of job, like you would want to like take it really serious, and make sure that you get, the person to look like themselves as much as possible.
There was a movie out there done, and I'm sure you've dabbled in both being both areas. Are you familiar with the movie Bernie by Jack Black?
Yep.
Yeah, that was so well done that I was surprised it was on YouTube. I'm like, Jack Black and Shirley MacLaine. So you watch it, you go through the whole process, and there's always if you're dealing with that side of the world, right, and of the employment of the the nitty-gritty, you're dealing with a dead body. You have to have a sense of religion about yourself. You have to have a sense of knowing that this is a body you're dealing with, and that the spirit and the soul has possibly, I mean, even atheists, has possibly gone out to the afterlife. Are you a religious person at all, Wade, or do you just look at it like, it's just a job? It's what I do.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both.
I don't know what this motion was there, but
I think honestly, it's a little bit of both.
It's not what you're passionate about, because what you're passionate about seems to be filmmaking.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever wanted to do not necessarily a documentary, not necessarily about wrestling, but how about the embalming and funeral world?
Well, so I actually have, like, if you look on my Vimeo, I did a documentary on Rago Brothers Funeral Home. They've been in business for like 100 years, and Mr. Rago actually was one of my teachers in mortuary school, and he's also an accountant. So they let me do a documentary about their family business. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
are you a married man, Wade?
Yes, I am.
Married. What does your wife think about this mortuary business? When you first started dating, let me take you back to there. When you first started dating, and
how did that come up in conversation?
Yeah. So what do you do for a living? And you were just like, well.
Well, she was fine with it because I was doing other things too. She just like, hey, whatever works.
She was just with you for your amazing smile and your charismatic behavior.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that she's not a gold digger, where her next one was like, how much does that pay?
Yeah, no, she, she's far from that. But I mean, for the most part, like, I like, one thing about me is like, I don't take it home with me. It's like the only thing that I take home with me is like,
that would be a crime though. If you took
that would definitely be a crime.
Yeah, it would.
This would be a whole different conversation.
Yeah. Have you ever taken it home with you by mistake where you're like, oh, wait a second, why am I holding this? I'll be back. I got to take this back to the office.
What I'm
be like, police department, please find Wade Wilson.
Yeah, like
you get pulled over
you get pulled over on the way and you say, officer, I'm a mortician. Dead body here. I never take work home with me, officer. I swear.
He's good. Look at him.
You duck and the officer starts shooting at the corpse.
Yeah, but I think, like, doing that type of work, it definitely like makes you appreciate life more, makes you a lot more adventurous. Makes you really want to live more with purpose and stuff.
Yep, you treat every day as if there's no afterlife, and you will have no wasted time on earth. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's how I live my life. While I live every day as if knowing that there is nothing after this. So every day is just much more that important. Some people, they say, "Well, there's heaven. I'll get it. I'll take care of things when I'm up there." And if there isn't, then you've just really succumbed to your own procrastination.
Yeah, so that's why, like, with me, like, I think it just teaches you like whatever you want to do in life, just go for it and just have fun with it, because I know, like, I had one memory when I was working at the funeral home that I worked at for a long time. I remember there was this guy, his mother passed, and then like 3 weeks later, like, I was bringing a casket into the chapel and I opened it up and it was the guy I was talking to.
Oh.
And so, like, that's just like a constant reminder, like, you just gotta enjoy life.
And Sparky has something there on the big board, Tony. Do you see this thing? He's got some breaking in.
I
Now,
do
Sparky,
happen to see something, and because Sparky is a drawer extraordinaire, Wade, you're in for a treat today. I hope you have your eyes all dialed in on this. So, Sparky, go ahead and flip that board around. We'll see what you got.
it says, keep an eye out. This guy has a Rolex. And for our non-viewing audience out there, Sparky drew a very descriptive person in a casket. And you could tell they're in the casket because they are the ones laying down in a box.
And a Rolex on his left arm, by the way.
Now, was that P-Shaw from the 49ers? He got shot because he had a Rolex on at a fan signing. Did you see about that, Tony, or no?
I did, actually. Yeah, that was a crazy story that we had
on the Podguyz Podcast fan page on the Facebook fan page group about how P-Shaw, the newly acquired or newly drafted wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers out of Florida, he was doing an autograph signing. They saw him, they saw him with a Rolex, and they shot him, with the gun. They shot him then to try to get at his watch. I'm thinking to myself, like, what kind of Lord of the Rings bullshit ring grab is this? Like, that's the last time violence has been done over jewelry, and since that I can last recall. We've been on a Lord of the Rings kind of kick here at the Neary household, so that's where my head is most of the time. But no, he got shot. Tony, do you have any more details on that?
Looking in general for that particular story, and I can't find it for some reason.
It was just fucking strange, man. Like the violence against just the violence over what? A watch that's made of gold and silver and dreams and all that nice stuff. It's just it feels kind of stupid. But then again, trading up to draft Ricky P-Shaw also feels pretty stupid as well. I call him the white Odell Beckham Jr. because he had also one very good one-handed catch in college and has done nothing since. I'm just throwing it out there. He's not. And Sparky, you've seen him play.
I'm glad you caught it because he did.
Yeah. I mean, we normally do talk about whatever we do post in the Podguyz podcast. Like Baywatch's Nicole Eagert applauds Jimmy Jackson's honesty after NSFW not suitable for work confession. Nicole Eggert is applauding her Baywatch co-star Jeremy Jackson. He confessed sniffing his female castmates' swimsuits. Like, I don't know how. Tony, how do you get a confession out of somebody like that? That doesn't sound like fucking coffee talk. And anytime. And it's your
Sparky, if you don't have a picture of this is going to be upsetting.
They're posting this stuff. We got an automatic.
This one first.
All right. Well, flip it around first before we get into that story. Let's see what you got.
Kevin, come to me, my precious. Not tonight. My journey was too long. Okay. Well, explain yourself, Sparky.
Kevin, come to me, my precious.
Oh,
No, not tonight, honey. My journey was too.
nothing like an inside joke.
So Kevin, let's get into this Baywatch story because this is freaking hilarious. Like,
Gotcha.
really, really funny. So Nicole Eggert isn't losing any sleep over Jeremy Jackson confessing that he's gotten up close and personal with the scent of her privates. What a freaking degenerate.
Why do that? Well, first of all, why even do that when you can buy a Gwyneth Paltrow goop scented vaginal candle
Yes.
for just $59.99? You can smell what Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina smells like in candle form. And that's no joke, Wade. It's a real product out there. So if you were thinking about buying stuff for your mortuary friends, and they were also wondering what a slight smell of a burning Gwyneth Paltrow vagina candle smells like, it is there.
Yeah.
That's Christmas shopping never comes too early, but
now Nicole Eggert, I don't know if you've seen her lately, but of course she's in the news for turning heads lately, but she's applauding applauding his particular behavior, which is weird. So while Nicole admitted she didn't know about Jeremy's naughty onset antics when they were going down, she did make it clear she's unbothered by the foul truth. She was okay with him sniffing her swimsuit. And as Nicole put it, Jeremy, who played David Hasselhoff's son, Hobby Buchanan, for 8 seasons, was simply doing what prepubescent boys do, understanding everyone has NSFW moments going through puberty.
Yeah, and that's a very understandable thing to happen. I mean, who hasn't at the pubescent age just gone through different actresses' swimsuits and smelled them until you overshare smelling them with many people in the press, including the person that you smelled them with, and yeah.
And the number one place to go, TMZ, of course.
I think sometimes that's just one of them things where the publicist just got to keep it going,
It feels like, it really feels like it as well. You want to stay relevant in Hollywood. He probably said, you want to stay relevant in this town, you're gonna have to pick up a weird fetish, because besides that, you're just David Hasselhoff's kid from Baywatch, and his real kids aren't even famous. So the Baywatch is a show that's about what, 30 years old now, 25, 30 years old.
Yeah, I remember that show as a child.
It just I don't know, man. It's one of those things where you just it's good for its time, and then you got to move on from that sort of thing. But you're a wrestling fan, right, Wade?
Yeah.
You remember the British Bulldog, right?
Yeah.
So the Bloodlines fans for the British Bulldog, there was a very big article here about the British Bulldog, and his wife and girlfriend at the time talked about how he was drugging her, and I'll just read through it real quick if you don't mind. In her words, she says, Davey told me a Florida wrestler named Duke the Dumpster figured out how to figured out how to make GHB liquid. Davey began giving me it without my knowledge. At the time, all I knew was that unusual things were happening to me. I developed really bad hemorrhoids and woke up with my posterior burning and sore. I felt something had happened to me during the night, but couldn't understand what. I thought maybe I was losing my mind. Part of being married is being able to trust the person you are married to. I couldn't agree with that more. I never dreamed Davey was slipping me the drug in my nightly glass of orange juice. Now that's fucking weird. Who has a nightly glass of orange juice? It's called a screwdriver. We know you were drinking. We know you were drinking. Nobody has a nightly glass of orange juice. It doesn't happen.
Nobody does orange juice at night.
There's no fucking person in the world that says, bring me my nightly glass of orange juice. It's a fucking, no, not even the richest person.
Unless it's a British thing.
I don't even drink it every morning, to be honest.
It's a drunk person thing. It's a put the vodka in. There was already a drug in that orange juice. That's why she didn't taste it, because GHB has a distinctive smell and taste to it. But if you already have vodka in your nightly orange juice, you're not going to smell or taste a goddamn thing. And while you've been day drinking all day, while probably experimenting, and I like to use the word experimenting because it always makes drug addicts sound like scientists, while experimenting with other drugs during the daytime, you're of course not gonna notice. Davey Boy Smith, the aka the British Bulldog, is not alive to defend himself today. But she says, it just never even occurred to me. I shared my symptoms with my sister without batting an eye. She said, yeah, Jim Neidhart used to do the same thing to me. I bit my lip. After taking the orange juice Davey gives me at night, I'll wake up in my bed and not remember how I got there. Also, I've done that before. It's called being blackout drunk and not knowing how you fucking got anywhere. I remember waking up the one time I was in a very closed-in hot space. And I know that whenever you're in a closed-in hot space, I'm like, I don't know where I'm at. But wherever you are at, be very careful with your next movement. So my next movement was pushing my hand up and I felt metal. I was inside the back of my own trunk. So the back seats of the car did fold down and I ended up crawling out like the scene from Ace Ventura Pet Detective 2 where he's getting out of the rhino. Because I was sweating my ass off. Daylight is now blaring in my face. Like, whoa! You should have seen people that were parked next to me like, what the fuck? I'm like, ah.
That's when nature calls.
When nature calls, yeah. Yeah. After taking the orange juice David gives me at night, I'll wake up in bed and I remember thinking, blah, blah, blah. He was at the point where the only way he wanted to be with me is if I was unconscious. There's a couple people out there like that just that's their thing, I guess. And it's a form of sexual assault. It's a form of rape. I guess in a really weird way, I felt flattered that he desired me. I rationalized that he still loved me. What a screwed up relationship. No, what a screwed up driver. A screwdriver. It is called a screwdriver with vodka and orange juice. And Sparky has got his finishing touches on what can only be described as the Mona Lisa of big boards right now. He is the Da Vinci Code to the Podguyz Podcast. Sparky has been...
I'm going to say this is a blown opportunity by Sparky in order to make a Kit reference or a Knight Rider reference in some way.
I got a better reference.
Son of a bitch.
Like the whole Knight Rider car coming out of Madonna.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, something.
The whole car. Sparky, what do you got going on there? But you remember the British Bulldog, right, Wade, where he was just all roided. Yeah. Tell Scott Baio I am in charge now. Hey, I got OJ to strain it through.
All right, that's kind of quality, Sparky.
Of course, Sparky's interpretation of what we talk about is always illustrated through his, as you could tell, masterful drawings right there. For our non-viewing audience, you're gonna just have to take our word for how beautiful Sparky's pictures actually are and descriptive. The person on the left, as obviously the David Hasselhoff's son in the movie and the TV series Baywatch, is smelling the red swim trunks, while whoever is also straining is with the OJ glass. Yeah, that's funny stuff, Sparky.
Very nice, Sparky. We are gonna dive into another story that actually involves death. Sadly, Fat Man Scoop. I don't know if you've seen that, Wade. If you're a Fat Man Scoop, if you knew who he is or what he has done in the R&B and hip hop community.
Yeah, I see that. It's been like, just a lot of people just randomly just passing.
Yeah. Apparently he was up on stage and he was doing his thing. He was a hype man. He was doing some singing, and all of a sudden he had a heart attack on stage and just fell down right on stage and died.
Oh man.
Yeah, sadly. Fat Man Scoop. Oh man, I forget how old he was. I'm thinking it was late 40s, early 50s. Right around there.
That's too bad. But there was another person that did die, Tony, in a fictional land on Elm Street before. We're gonna call him Freddy Krueger. There's a meme right now on the Podguyz Podcast Facebook fan page. It says, "Now, Wade, I want you to give Freddy Krueger a career, if you can, okay? And I'll give you some time to prepare. Give you a good 10 seconds to think about what you think Freddy Krueger's funny career could be." I'll give you a couple of responses right now of what we got from the Facebook fan page. Karen Zuge says massage therapist. Dave Savage says gynecologist. That's really funny, Dave. Gynecologist.
Yeah.
Dustin Killian also says gynecologist. Right for the vagina jokes we go. Wade, give Freddy Krueger a career. What would his career be? Are you ready with your answer, sir?
I'd say a firefighter.
Firefighter, man.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool because he looks like a really experienced firefighter, a little too experienced with the 3rd-degree burns. Another one says Courtney Collage. He says a happy ending massage therapist. So a massage therapist that gives you 2-second massages and 15-minute blowjobs, I guess, because you couldn't be a happy ending massage therapist. What the fuck is that? Here's Cassandra Sharp. Cassandra Sharp is saying that a child trauma therapist. That'd be nice, right? Nothing better than that's called.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah.
That's a Jerry Sandusky double dip right there, Tony.
I like it.
Our good friend Darren Dowler, professional musician galore. He's one of the most talented men on the guitar and vocals around. He says professional birth cake slicer. Professional birth cakes. I feel like this is Family Feud where it's like, good answer. Nicole Gilchrist says surgeon. Bob Loner says doc that only does prostate exams. Now I know we already hit the vagina jokes up there. Now it's time for the asshole jokes because why not? Yeah. And optician and Sparky has something on the big board right there about maybe what we're talking about. Hibachi chef.
Oh, there it is.
He got the hands for it.
He'd be like, it's time to suck this off suck that off the knife.
The shish kebab is right there. Freddy Krueger had the finger thing going on, and then another type of character had a similar Tim Burton kind of feel to double up on Freddy Krueger, the Edward Scissorhands. He says, I wonder if I did that twice.
Yeah.
Not trying to say Tim Burton's not creative, just pointing out things that happened before Tim Burton wrote a movie. Well before.
Yeah, he never stole that from anyone.
Never. Why would he? Tim Burton also wrote one of those very famous movies from scratch, Batman. See, the creativity keeps rolling in there. I had never heard of Batman before Tim Burton came by. Fucking gotta be kidding me. People are just like, but Tim Burton, he's so creative, he's so weird, he's so quirky. Fuck you, man. Give me a break. He's got a cool name. He had a very Hollywood chic punk, gothy kind of look. The one plus, I liked Edward Scissorhands because it was. Are you familiar with the movie there, Wade?
Yeah, I just watched it a couple of weeks ago too.
So if you're familiar enough where Winona Ryder is an older character and she is telling her granddaughter the story, we are now, everything that goes on in that story, we are now seeing through the imagination of a child. That's why all the houses look just one colored. All the dialogue is just very simplistic. and the plot kind of has holes because we're not actually being brought to that exact point in time. It is being portrayed through the mind of a child, and I thought that was a very James and the Giant Peach way of feeling, of telling a story, in my opinion. But I thought it was very good storytelling, but kind of looks like the same hand motion of a Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Feels a little lifted. Just he's like, I know what we'll do. By the way, Johnny Depp. It was between Johnny Depp to play Edward Scissorhands or Michael Jackson was the other name that was supposed to play Edward Scissorhands. And Michael Jackson wanted that role big time. How does Tim Burton say no to Michael Jackson playing that role? Well, it's kind of easy when you got a man crush on Johnny Depp so hard that you're literally casting him in every one of your movies after the fact.
Weirdly, every time he went to go snip the scissors, it was shovel. Marky, let's see what's on that big board. Tire changer for AAA.
Yeah, that's also a bad career move for Freddy Krueger. And just to let you know a little bit more backstory, because it is kind of an interesting idea of why Michael Jackson would audition to be the lead role for Edward Scissorhands. Here's a article, very quick article from Medium, why Michael Jackson's audition for Edward Scissorhands failed to impress. Now, Michael Jackson does have some acting experience, most notably in the movie The Wiz. Having already conquered music with the best-selling album of all time, millions of adoring fans, and being the highest-paid entertainer in the world by the late 80s, you'd think if Michael Jackson had decided to throw in the towel and focus all his efforts into a movie career, that Hollywood would be there with open arms to embrace him, as surely any big-budget production starring Michael Jackson would have attracted an incredible level of public interest and media attention. However, the gloved one wasn't your typical leading man. His Peter Pan persona, off-the-wall antics, and forays into plastic surgery made Michael Jackson unsuitable for most roles being touted in Hollywood at the time. Could you Michael Jackson playing a Tom Cruise all-American action hero, blah, 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 Meg Ryan. They give many examples. Although a challenge, Michael Jackson believed he found a role that he was made for and had potential to launch him onto the silver screen as a major talent. The tale conjured up by the director Tim Burton focused on a wounded and vulnerable young man with scissors instead of hands. Once he caught wind of the script titled Edward Scissorhands and that every major star in Hollywood was being considered for his lead role, Michael Jackson lobbied hard for it. However, Tim Burton completely dismissed his attempts and wouldn't even take a meeting with the superstar, eventually offering the role to a relatively unknown Johnny Depp. Right there is, I'll stop right there, but he did try his hardest to get to be Edward Scissorhands. Now, what fucked up universe would we be living in if Michael Jackson was playing Edward Scissorhands there, Wade? See, it's kind of weird when you're casting for certain. By the way, Johnny Depp did a great job at Edward Scissorhands. He had the vacant stares. He had the very innocent touch to the whole thing. I think Michael Jackson could have added too much personality to the character at that time. And that's a compliment towards Michael Jackson when you have such, early 90s, late 80s Michael Jackson was a different Michael Jackson than 2000s Michael Jackson, where he's walking around with an umbrella being like, I have a child named Blanket. And you're like, what the fuck's wrong? What happened to you, Michael? What happened? What is this going on?
Speaking of famous Michaels, did you know that Michael J. Fox wasn't the first choice for Back to the Future either?
Correct. Yeah, he was not the first choice. In fact, they had to do so many reshoots on the film. I forget the actors. Yeah, they did.
Eric Stoltz.
Eric
Stoltz. Yeah.
Now, that's actually the original Back to the Future. That's actually one of my favorite movies. Yeah, I love movies like about time travel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Eric Stoltz actually was the first runner-up for the role. and then they had quite a few reshoots as far as Eric Stoltz was concerned, but they had already started shooting with him when he had to pull out.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that does happen where, you know, you're so far along in a movie, and when they're rewatching it, they just said they made the right call. I think everybody can agree that they made the right call. They're like, pull the plug, pull it. You know, like this isn't working. The same thing happened with Bob Saget compared to the original guy that was supposed to play Danny Tanner.
Yeah.
Where there was I forget the actor's name, but he was a comedian. He was, you know, he signed all the paperwork. He made, you know, his money for the pilot, but nothing more. And he had more of a comedic undertone, where Bob Saget's interpretation of the character was more fatherly and like a sit-down, sensitive situation.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about Bob Saget, he was a really good actor, because as a child, you just know, like for me, I thought that was Bob until I got older. And I'm like, wow, like that's two different guys.
You know what?
Yeah, Bob Saget's a degenerate.
You bring up a very good point there, is when you're watching, whether it be TV or movie, and you're watching a character and you are, you know, you're aware you're watching a movie, but when you are tricked into believing that this character is the way that person actually is, that just shows how brilliant of an actor Bob Saget actually was, you know. And his stand-up routine is just, it goes from vulgar to quick to you know, all over the place. He has passed away about 2 years ago, though, unfortunately. You know, does happen.
I find it interesting that Michael J. Fox was actually the first runner-up on the movie Ghost as well, with Patrick Swayze.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he was,
and then he turned it down, and Patrick Swayze actually took the role as main role for Ghost.
Yeah, and Patrick Swayze at the time, you know, he had a Roadhouse going on. That was he did that drag movie with Wesley Snipes where they're both dressing up like women. I don't know. I didn't get into that one too. You know, to the extent of I couldn't last more than 10 minutes. But wait, you said that you enjoy time travel movies. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
And Back to the Future was a fun take on time travel. You've heard the Easter egg ones, right? Where, you know, Marty's dad sees his kid now, and he's just like, wait a second, you look like my friend from high school, Calvin Klein. You know, and then looks at his mother and says, were you fucking Calvin Klein back in high school? Our kid Marty looks just like that guy.
Yeah, that was a really interesting movie, you know. I just like the concept of it. Like, you know, you go back in time and get to see what your parents' life was like. You know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, because, you know, back then you would just, even as a kid, when you're watching it as a kid, you would just interpret your parents as always being that age.
Yeah.
Not knowing that, you know, before time they actually had a better life before you were born.
Especially one Freudian slip away from total extinction.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. With the Polaroid picture. Those now these weren't like CGI, like, you know, they weren't dumping a lot of money into special effects. It was just taking a Polaroid and doing the reverse effect on when the Polaroid was taken on the whole thing. It was that kind of intricate, tricky camera work that you know, you hold this still, you know, whatever you want the audience to see on camera, that's what you show them on camera, and then that's all they're going to see. And then, you know, because you have a whole cast and crew, you got like a whole crew behind you, they're not going to see to a point. And they're still going to be able to fill in the blanks in their own head of what they can already assume to be in the room at that specific time. So
follow-up question on that, Wade, is there anything super cool that you've done in a movie theater, in a movie setting, that you were like, oh man, I hope this goes over well, or it's going to be boom or a bust?
Well, for me, I'm one of the filmmakers that always like, you know, if I do have a project that don't go as planned, what I do is I find another purpose for it, you know, because I think that's part of like how creativity works, right? Like you figure out things, you know, because I know like a lot of people just like throw their work away, but I'm like, you can always find something to make it work another way because it's creativity. That's kind of the purpose of it.
Yeah, not everything is going to go as planned. And if something doesn't go as planned, you can't just take, I like the optimism. I like the attitude towards creativity on you there. That's my biggest compliment I can give you right there, man. The thing is, you can't always just take it and then say like, well, we're going to keep it. How much stuff have you thrown out because you were just like,
man, I got a ton of stuff that's just sitting,
you're just like,
I'm gonna hoard it all.
You strike me as that kind of person where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna take that, and then right when you put it all together, you strike me as the kind of person that wants to only put out the quality shot.
Well, so for me, what I like to do also, I like to work with a diverse group. Like with me, like I have my way that I do things, and then there's another young man that work with me, Ben, and she like what I like about Ben. He's like kind of more like how can I put it? He's kind of more like if I'm looking at something from this perspective, he's gonna say, no, wait, like try it this way,
Mm-hmm.
And what I like about him is like he challenges my creativity. So I think it's kind of good to work with because I know like some people have like creative differences, but
no, Wade, you're 100% correct. You need to find somebody that you can work with and they can work with you as well. And like me, Tony, and Sparka, we have a very congruent sort of discussion about when we're going to be shooting some more commercials up the road. And so when we were going through our first set of commercials, we're trying to still figure out how we want it to look, our different shots, different angles, different takes on stuff. Tony has some ideas that I didn't even consider, and I had some ideas that Tony didn't consider. And, when you put all these good ideas together, you can agree what the good ideas are. You come up with something not only really funny, but worthwhile for the audience to come back.
It works better because I remember one time I was directing a film and acting, and I hate doing that, but sometimes it happens. But I was directing a scene, and it was one where the character was just sitting at the table, and Ben was like, "No, wait, I feel like you should put the chips in front of him, just little small things, stuff that I wouldn't have." Because sometimes when you're doing everything, it's something may get overlooked. So I think that it's.
And a small thing like that is humanizing the character. Whether it be a bag of chips or a beverage in front, you're not a robot. You don't want it to look different from reality. You don't want it to look staged. You want it to feel like a real situation.
Feel natural.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I think so for me, and that's kind of what I'm doing too. Like right now, I'm actually working on a documentary about how like you can take something that you worked on for so long and you can perfect it, like instead of like throwing away, you can use it as an opportunity, like to show other people that they can learn from mistakes that you made,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. What was the one movie though? What was the one movie where you watched it and you said to yourself, I want to make something that has this same impact on somebody else. I want to make something kind of better than this. I want to be better than this. I want to be the same plane as this. I want to make something. What was that one movie that made you feel, oh my God, I need to do this?
The Bronx Tale.
Bronx Tale? Yeah, that was a great movie.
That's one of my favorite movies. But like I remember in that movie where Kolozharov, that was the main character. His dad tells him, which was played by Robert Niro, tells him like the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And like if you kind of look at like how that movie was, like it was just really well done. Like I would love to make something kind of like with that feel to it. I just think that was like a really brilliant movie. It's like it's not too many movies like I can watch over and over again, but that's one of them,
Yeah, Chaz Palminteri, he wrote, directed the idea, and the with the exact play-by-play of Chaz's life is what it was based on. To get that movie made, that was his whole life to try to get that movie made, and when it was made, and he casted himself as Sonny. Now he has to play the person in the movie where, you know, he's supposed to be Calario. He's supposed to, that's, you know, interpretable, but you have so many different hands, you have so many different chefs in the kitchen when it comes to collaboration, when you have when it's based on a true story, but you want people to be to keep their privacy about themselves. And you know, names have to be changed, and situations have to be brought together. One of my favorite parts in the movie Bronx Tale would be you know, when they're talking to the bikers. I'm sure you're familiar with that scene. Yeah. Now you can't leave, you know. And that's when it clicked, and the stop, the muting and the narration over that, and then the camera going over each and every one of the bikers' look on their faces as if, oh my God, we just fucked up. We you know, wrong people to mess with, sort of thing. But to capture that portrayal of emotion, knowing that that's what you're looking for, is a take one, it's a take two, it's a take three. It's making sure that you get that whole sweeping shot.
Panoramic, yeah.
You can't go too fast with the camera either. And you know, it's a testament to the specifications of what emotion you want to portray to your audience. And it often gets overlooked and by audience people, you know, by you're watching the movie, you're enjoying yourself, but all of those small details go right into making you feel a certain way, like, oh man, these guys are gonna get fucked up right now, you know.
Yeah, but that was like, to me, that was like one of my favorite movies. Like I said, I think from the script to the acting, I think just everything about it was like really cool. And I feel like it was very realistic too. Like, even though like I like Back to the Future too, like, but it's always nice when somebody can make like a really actual, more realistic movie, you know, that you can kind of really find like relatable. Cause even like when Sonny like when he you know, he got killed, and like I felt like with Kolodjarov kind of like that being his mentor, that was really like relatable. And then you remember like in the beginning, like when Sonny tells him, he said like, nobody cares, kid. And then at the end of the movie, he said you were wrong, you know.
The I like Sonny's advice along the way. No, he owes me $20. So what? Do you like him? No, I don't like him. Well, big deal. You'll never have to see him again, and it only costs you $20.
Yeah.
Cheap. It's a cheap getaway right there. But yeah, I see, Wade, I see you've been staring at my shirt real quick, you know, and this if you're wondering where to get this kind of shirt, you can go to thepodguyzpodcast.com and you can buy one of these beautiful shirts with the big black and white microphone on it to support the Podguyz Podcast. And we have hats as well, stickers, like a sticker. We got mugs. You know, you can get a mug. You walk around, people could say, oh my God, you listen to the same podcast I do. And you'll say, of course I do. I also have a mug to prove and show my support. We have plenty of shirts with Tony's face on it, my face on it, Sparky's thought bubble, one where he draws what he sees. And for people that do enjoy Sparky's drawings, we have a Sparky's Corner in the store where you can buy Sparky's beautiful artwork on canvases and t-shirts all around.
Nice.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Damn, I can't wait for this to end so I can go on the podguyzpodcast.com right now and see if I can get over
shameless plug, by the way. That was
$50 worth of stuff, so that way I can qualify for the free shipping. I would then say to you, Wade, you know what? We probably do have to wrap this up so you can get to the Podguyz Podcast.com to do all of those things. But if you can't spell the Podguyz Podcast, you can always go to merchbooth.com, scroll on down to the podcast section, and if you're bad at spelling but great at reading, scroll on down to the Podguyz Podcast there. Click on that link right there, and you will see identical merch at merchbooth.com, where you can also support other podcasts too. We don't try to stray people away from supporting other podcasts too. We just feel we bring a little different slice of entertainment to the table, as well as other talented podcasts.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty, Jesus.
That was the best run-on sentence I had there, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually brilliant.
We're no script in front of me either, right?
Wow, Kevin, you are brilliant. That's the first time you've ever heard that in your life.
I know. I've heard other B words like "you're a bitch." You won't do what I say. Like,
hey, unfortunately, not necessarily the death and wrestling world lost man. Psycho Sid passed away as well last week, and true wrestling legend, of course. And of course, another one for today was from Gidget and singer-director James Darren passed away today.
Yep, James Darren. He was a Star Trek TJ Hooker, 88 years old. His life was taken forever. It's 88's a good run right there, man. It's
not a bad run.
It's not. I mean, full career all around. I just wonder now, Wade, the industry better than I do when it comes to mortuaryism. Is that how you would, mortuaryism? Is it a
mortuary science?
Mortuary science.
Okay. All right. So is there
Wade's got a PhD. You better put that on there, goddamn.
Is there a bidding process that goes on for people to do the makeup and the embalming of the stars? And if there is, when you add that to your portfolio, because I'm sure you have a portfolio, and if you ever get caught with that portfolio, man, you're going to look like a murderer or like a creepy person without context. We're like, what the hell? What is all this? It's a lot of, assumptions instead of logical questions like, hey, he's probably a mortician or something. But is there a bidding process that funeral homes go through to try to get that celebrity inside the funeral home?
I'll always say in that business, it's kind of more like word of mouth. And then a lot of times, if you do get a celebrity or anything, like most times what will happen is that it would be kind of really more discreet, especially sometimes the family may not want press and all that. So, you just have to be really careful because it's so easy to get sued in that business, so.
I could imagine. I mean, I can only imagine. And then, then it gets creepy. Then it turns into a nightmare because I'm surrounded by imagining dead people.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on here?
Who are you, Bruce Willis?
Yeah. So a lot of times, like in many cases, what normally happens is that, a lot of times people would just have like a private funeral and then the public one would be like a memorial or something for everybody.
That makes sense.
And I think that's like the best way to do it, so you don't have to worry about nobody taking any pictures or anything,
Yeah.
Especially TMZ, because if they find out about anything, they gonna
TMZ's everywhere, dude. They're already looking at it through the camera already, and they're like, ah! Wade Simmons, look at him. All right. Well, so let's end this show. Of course, we are the Podguyz Podcast. I'm Tony Kaz.
Kevin Neary here.
Of course, the ever-loving Picasso. Where can you find us, Sparkles, if you're looking for us?
Well, you can find us on every single major streaming platform, including YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, Castbox, Pocket Cast, GeoReo, Facebook Live Video.
Okay.
You could also find our merchandise at merchandise.com, at the Podguyz Podcast.com. And I think I covered everything. And
Podguyz Podcast at gmail.com. If you want to email us anything that's on your mind, profanity, curse us out, hit us in the comments, call us what you like.
If you need a mortician.
If you can give negative comments, you better be able to take them and not be a bitch and report, the other negative comments that were given your way, after you go ahead and start the fire and now you wonder why everybody else is hitting smoke your way. it's not cool. It's you know, we know who you were when you were growing up then, when you were like a kid, just like, little fucking snitch and snitched around shit.
Snitches get stitches.
Oh man, that's the thing. Actually, snitches get witness protection and a cool job.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this guy's the worst taxidermist around. Why is he really Italian?
Wade, if people are going to look for you, how would they find you, sir?
You can find me on Facebook, Wade Simmons, Instagram, Wade Jedi 99, and you can find me on Vimeo, Wade Filmmaker 777. So check me out.
Jedi Knight. Do you I have to ask. Star Wars guy?
Oh yeah, George Lucas, one of my favorite filmmakers.
Yeah, the Jedi's
By the
all
way, right behind Sparky, if you happen to look, all of those particular pop figures are all Star Wars related.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Sparky, that's the first time you'll hear that this week, buddy.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If we'll be back next week. We got some great guests set up for a couple weeks. We're the Podguyz Podcast. Have a great night.
Have a good one.